Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Citrine. And Citrine asks, how can you tell the difference between a familiar and a house pet? And the answer to this is that when most people use the term, you can't tell a difference because very often people use the term familiar to refer to their pet. However, there are exceptions to this, and I'm going to start my answer by explaining a little bit about the history of the term familiar. And in origin, the idea of the familiar was the familiar spirit that the witch worked with, which is really more or less what we today call a spirit guide. It was not considered to be a physical entity, but a spiritual entity. However, over time, the meaning of the word changed, much as the term fairy changed from spirits who are generally considered to have been ancestor spirits to nature spirits that had formerly been called things like nymph or dryad. The term familiar moved from the spirit guide to the idea of a physical animal that the person worked with. And the origin of this idea was that the spirit guide could take the form of an animal, and then the idea became that it was the animal. And today, it's used very loosely to refer to animals that witches have, usually just as pets. But animals can be highly psychic and highly magical, and there are people who actually do use the term to refer to an animal with whom they have a metaphysical bond, as opposed to merely an emotional bond, that they actually use to do metaphysical work with. Most commonly, different kinds of healing or energy work. And if you've been around animals and energy work, you'll know that many animals respond very strongly to energy work. And some animals seem to have a facility for doing it on their own, totally separate from the person. I have a friend who has many cats, and one of these cats is automatically attracted to anyone who comes to the house and is physically ill. They'll go to the person and sit on their lap, and often the person will presently feel better because the cat is doing energy work. This same person has another cat who does virtually the same thing for people who are upset or depressed or mentally unstable. And many different animals will have this sort of energetic specialty of their own, and for some people that is what is meant today by the term familiar, an animal who's actually metaphysically active that the person actually works with. But many people use it just as a term to describe their house pets. So I hope that answers the question and isn't too disappointing. And until next time, may you blessed be. Reverend Don, super omnibus of incantations and invocations for all occasions. Mary Ann Kay and I created this massive compendium of magic and artwork for you to use in any way that you would like. There are literally hundreds of spells and hundreds of illustrations, which can be mixed and matched and used in many different ways. Check it out now at witchghoulstore.com.